to Bashar al Assad's one of his cousins, Ribal al Assad. Very good to talk to you today. And I suppose we should start by you explaining and clarifying your relationship with Bashar al Assad and your thoughts briefly on his downfall.
Yes, good afternoon. Well, as you know, I'm the director of the Organization for Democracy and Freedom in Syria, which I've set up in 2009 in London. And I've been exiled from my country since I was 9 years old. And I've been many times on Sky News, since before even the uprising began, calling for a change towards a genuine representative democracy in Syria. Sadly, this did not happen. We see a dictatorship, fall and being replaced by theocracy, by those who were a member of Al-Qaeda, of ISIS. And this is definitely not what we want. They have committed in the past and continue on committing atrocities, massacres against minorities, enslavement, crucifixions, beheadings, stonings, every kind of horrific things. And I think the international community should not be accommodating those people and not even rewarding them by lifting sanctions on them until we get genuine representative democracy with a constitution, a modern secular constitution that guarantees equalities of all citizens under the rule of law, regardless of religion, sex, ethnic group, and gender. And of course, with the separation of the judiciary from, religion and politics. And of course, I think that the best way, the best solution for Syria to have a federal system, a geographical federal system, because after these 14 years of killings, after we've lost over 1 million people, after over 1 million were injured, after 6 million refugees, 8 million internally displaced, 60% of the infrastructure totally destroyed, we must have, as I said, a new Syria. It's really our chance to build the new future Syria altogether as Syrians, away from jihadism, away from extremism, away from those takfiris, because as you know, we cannot work with them. The international community has tried in the past to accommodate them or to work with them, and you've seen how they turned on them. We all saw what happened, and remember 7/7 bombings in London, 9/11 in the United States, the Madrid bombings, and many other atrocities. We definitely cannot trust those people. And if we think that we could work with those people, as you know, Jolani was himself joined Zarqawi, which was Al-Qaeda in Iraq. And then later on, he was imprisoned in US jails in Iraq for 5 years, and then came out in 2010, not learning his lesson, because, as I said, this is what he believes in, and joined al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS, who sent him to set up al-Nusra Front in Syria. And then he switched to Al-Qaeda again, joining al-Zawahiri, who's Osama bin Laden's deputy. So these are the people that, sadly, the international community and Western countries, instead of ridding Syria of those terrorists, we're trying to accommodate and reward them by giving them, all power in Syria.
A federal government in Syria. We talked to Robert Ford, former ambassador to Syria, in the last hour, and he said, it is not impossible, but it will be very, very difficult. How could a federal government in Syria, do you believe, work whilst representing and listening to the many different factions and different religious and ethnic groups that there are in that country? It is an incredibly diverse country, isn't it?
Well, of course, this is why, Syria was a beautiful mosaic. We have to it's either really a federal system or a confederal system, or it will have to be, divided. People in, for example, let's talk about this Sweda area. You don't only have Druze, you also have Arab tribes and others. But we need to give them a genuine democracy. They cannot. Those people have fought against the previous regime, against dictatorship for many years. Those people were daily. The people of Sweda, the Druze of Sweda, were daily demonstrating against the Syrian regime in the past couple of years. So definitely not to see the regime that they were fighting against being replaced by a theocracy, by jihadists who believe in killing all those who do not share their perverted ideology. Those people want to rid Syria of its beautiful mosaics, of its minorities, and those people, look at the Kurds in the northeast. The Kurds and the Arabs live together. They have Shias in the area, they have Christians in the area. As I said, a geographical federal system would work. They have been living peacefully for the past, 14 years in that region. The coastal area, you have again Sunnis, Alawites, Christians and others that share kind of the same habits or cultures or whatever, and again, southern Syria is different, Aleppo is different. So
but there'll be those who will argue, sorry to kind of cross you, but there'll be those who will argue that they lived in peace, in inverted commas, for so many years because Assad was in charge and ruled that country with, some would say, a reign of terror, and that therefore kept violence down between different ethnic groups.
No, but, actually dictatorship is the one, over 55 years, it made it worse. And of course, by releasing, if you remember, those people who rose against Assad in 2011 were asking for genuine representative democracy. There were a lot of peaceful people walking daily in the streets with candles. This is what they wanted. This is what they were looking for. But, the regime took out of the prisons, all those jihadis like Zahran Alloush and many others, and allowed them to form those jihadi military groups like, Jaysh al Islam, and many others. There were over 1,000 groups in Syria at the beginning, and then we found them all in Idlib after the regime and Al Qaeda and ISIS started fighting all those genuine democratic groups. They regrouped them all in Idlib, where they learned, as Jolani said in one of his interviews, how to fight together synchronize their attacks. They learned how to fight together, different people. They have over 20,000 foreign jihadis from Central Asia, from Europe, from all over. So imagine today we allowed those people to take over a country like Syria, which is on the Mediterranean. Today they have barely over 40,000 fighters. As I said, over 20,000 are foreign jihadis. Imagine in a year or two, there could be 400,000, 500,000. What we're going to do at that time, when Jolani openly in all his previous interviews said that he wants to build an Islamic caliphate without borders. So that's his real intentions. He could say whatever. You have people like Ambassador Barak saying that he's been saying the right thing. Of course he wants to say the right thing. Those people believe in something called taqiyya, which is you hide your true intentions, you are strong enough to launch attacks on others. You've seen that happening with many other Islamist groups around the world. And actually by doing that, we are strengthening those groups. And also, how could we morally, for example, look at the United States? We ban groups, for example, from entering who are supporters of Hamas, or they want to, kick out people who are supporters of Hamas. Today, Ted Cruz and others want to list the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. Here in the UK, you listed an organization lately, supporters of Hamas as a terrorist organization. So on one side, we are listing some groups as terrorists. On the other side, we are supporting and rewarding those hardcore jihadis who have taken over Syria and could be, a great danger. And they have not hidden their intentions. Haven't we learned from all those different attacks?
What do you make of Marco Rubio? He used the word that he wants the Syrian government to be inclusive in one of his latest statements. Do you feel that the US is giving mixed messages to Syria?
It's not mixed message. It's very strange because, as you know, President Trump in his first term, he was very much against. He went after all Islamist extremist groups. He didn't go after a specific brand. They were bombing them all for 1 year. They didn't leave, they targeted all of this, including Al-Nusra Front. But it's very strange now in his second term that he's being, as I said, since he visited Saudi Arabia and the Gulf, he's been very accommodating. I don't know how he believes that those people could bring peace to the region, to Syria and the region. Those people, as I said, are a big danger, not only for Syria, but for Jordan, for Saudi Arabia, for the UAE, and for Lebanon. Have you seen there have been several clashes with Lebanon, and they're saying that they have been regrouping on the Lebanese frontiers. So we cannot have, it's impossible to have, trust in such groups. Mainly, as I told you, that we have tried them. The US has tried them before, have seen what atrocities they have committed. They have killed US ambassador, they have attacked US embassies, they have attacked UK troops, killing thousands of US troops in Iraq and UK troops. So how could we work with them? And on top of it, they have the support of a country like Turkey. Turkey, which is a NATO country, which is supporting them. And Turkey has the second largest army in NATO. And Turkey, again, wants to revive, has an ambition to revive his Ottoman Empire, which they believe stretches from Mauritania until Xinjiang in China.
Ribal al Assad, we're going to have to leave it there because we're out of time. But it's very interesting to talk to you and get your thoughts about what is going on in Syria. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Many thanks to you.